I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing we're looking for is acceptance and correction of the minutes from 6/27.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from 6/27 public and non-public minutes, if there's any corrections needed as well.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 1. I wasn't here. We'll move on to announcements. If you look at the packet, section 2, there's a 2.5-hour class which is being held this year in Goffstown. And it's invited are the moderators, clerks, supervisors of the checklist, ballot clerks, and selectmen. And it's for the election law, the upcoming election. So if anybody's available to attend.
And I did confirm that the part pertinent to the selectmen starts at 11:15.
11:15?
Yes. And that's August 27th, yes, in the morning.
What day of the week is that?
Saturday morning.
It's a Saturday morning. And how long is that going to last for the selectmen? I mean, the whole
15
thing's
minutes.
it's only 15 minutes.
It's our do's and don'ts pretty quick, pretty fast, huh?
Yeah.
What you're doing today?
But the moderators and the clerks basically is a 2.5-hour session.
Yeah, okay. Next thing, we'd like to thank everybody, for the majority of the residents, for observing the fireworks ordinance during the week of July 4th. There was one fire in a yard which included a car which was related to fireworks. There were 8 calls for police related to fireworks. 2 of the calls were regarding fireworks during the allowed times, so they were informed about the new ordinance. 6 calls were regarding fireworks after 10 p.m. So, I think a couple years ago, it was like 50 or 60 calls we had.
There were
so-
quite a few.
Yep.
So that's new ordinance to help that. And then we have a traffic alert for Worthy Hill Road reclamation. Do I have that one, Sue?
Yeah, that's right behind the election training.
The Goffstown Department of Public Works announces construction work related to the Worthy Hill Road project starting Tuesday, July 12th, tomorrow. The work zone will be between number 11 Worthy Hill to Merrill Road and will be closed to all through traffic. Only local residents or businesses needing access in and out of the work zone will be allowed. Delays should be expected 6:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Tuesday through Friday. All residents above the work zone must use the Merrill Road detour. The road will be reopened to through traffic each night. Please see the detour map at tinyurl.com/Worthy Detour-16 for more information. Tiny Earl, that's a
That
new
could have
one
been
for me.
simplified, right?
The project updates and plans are posted at the town's website at www.goffstown.com. Go to Department of Public Works, Construction Projects, 2016 Construction Projects. Please contact Eric Gufsiston, Engineering Technician, at 603-497-3617, extension 227. With any questions, thank you for your patience. And we'll get that project finished up. So you want to start? Or we'll have the chief about, Chief, you want to come up? Just, it's only going to take you a couple of minutes, right?
Absolutely.
We'll go on to number 4 in your packet, and it's a request from the chief.
Good evening. I got recent notice from the New Hampshire Citizens Corps of a grant opportunity for our CERT folks. It's a competitive grant that's offered annually. Usually it only awards approximately 30 CERT groups in the state of New Hampshire. This year, they've offered it up again. The maximum amount that we can apply for is $4,500. There is no match, cash match or town share match. So it's for any outreach equipment, any CERT-related programs, and we'd like to get the board's blessing to go ahead and apply for that. It's due actually this week, so that's why I'm here in front of you today.
Sue?
This used to also include a stipend for the director, is that
It does include...
the CERT director?
Yeah, the CERT director included a stipend, and it's normal practice for, under this NH Citizens Corps. So this application will include that also. It's approximately $1,000.
Okay.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion.
Carlos made the motion. Mark, are you seconding it? Is that what you're doing? Okay, I thought so.
Go ahead, Collis, whatever you want to do.
You got it. We're good.
I'll make the motion to authorize the chief to proceed with the application for the grant for $4,500 with no town match for search, outreach, materials, training, and equipment.
And I will second Collis's motion for the grant.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Sue?
All right, your meeting schedule is in your packets. This Wednesday, 6:30 is EDC.
Yep.
Thursday at 7 is Planning Board. And Selectman Pierce did call in. He couldn't be here tonight. He may show up later, it depends. But he can do the Thursday night,
Okay.
so that's okay. Tuesday, next Tuesday, Sewer Commission.
Yep.
And next Wednesday is Library Trustees. Usually we don't do that one. On Wednesday, Parks and Rec Commission, and that's Selectman Pierce, so.
I believe that's me now.
Oh, that's you now. Okay, sorry. Okay. Thursday, next Thursday, the 21st, we have a non-public here. Okay, that's for the board.
It's Thursday, I don't remember that.
Consensus folder is employee status reports, Parks and Rec seasonal subs for playground and lifeguard. We have an event permit for the Grizzly Gridiron Club, a car wash fundraiser on July 23rd from 10 to 1 at St. Lawrence Church, and a proclamation.
Motion accept?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none? Passes.
Thank
When are
you.
we going to present the proclamation?
August 8th,
August 8th. Okay.
your meeting then, yep. Assessors recommendation is an intent, and several intents to cut. Map 1, Lot 61, Map 2, Lots 29 and 32, Map 5, Lots 102B and 56.
Motion to accept the assessor's recommendation.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Motion passes.
Thank you. And just an update on our commodity rates. Propane rates are down. They were at 1.999 per gallon for the 2015-16 heating season. And for 2016, we were able to contract at 1.129.
That's a whole lot. Savings.
Yep.
All the savings.
And that's for 14,000 gallons. Heating oil rates are down from 2.249 to 1.845. So we
40 cents.
contracted for 5,500 gallons.
Can we contract for the next 10 years?
Yeah.
No, they don't go that far out. And this takes into account, we did an adjustment on gallons for next year because of the fire station improvements, because heating oil will be going away there and it'll be all propane. So we made that adjustment. They helped us calculate that. Gasoline rates are down from 2.199 per gallon to 1.785 per gallon, and we contracted for 30,000 gallons because we seem to be right on that estimate every year. Diesel rates are down from 2.379 per gallon to 1.98, and we contracted for 85,000 gallons, which is 5,000 less because we had 5,000 gallons left over in that contract this year. So we
just carry-
underused it. So we have to
carry-
pay for, we pay for the
Carry it over.
5,000 at the former rate till it's used up, and then we go to this new rate.
What was the, what was it, why did we get so much of a drop this year on all these? Did we get a new server, or what happened?
No, same,
Just
it's just the
people?
market right now.
Markets.
Yeah, well, good.
I'm going to stop you here just for a second. Sue.
Sure.
Public comment, was that scheduled for 6:10? It is 6:10. We have anybody here from the public that wishes to comment? Seeing none, let's move on.
Okay. We have been working on a codification and amendment of vehicle and traffic ordinances, and that's in your packet at 6E.
I was like that earlier.
This has been going on for a while.
This has been. So we've kind of developed a table of contents for it. Basically, there are 3 sections: general information regarding enforcement violations. Second section is some parking regulations, and the third are just general traffic regulations. But as you go through, you know, when I had a signed ordinance, I gave you the adoption date. When I didn't, like a lot of the signs are up, stop signs, and it may be a result sometimes of a planning board action that never got carried through by the selectmen. So we weren't made aware of it to have a public hearing. But actually, back then, public hearings weren't required for.
1935?
Yeah, right.
So,
Some of them are that old,
Well, that's
yes.
I see it.
Yeah.
do we have a line of communication now, so that doesn't happen?
Yes, we do, yeah. So I've made Jonathan aware that any subdivision approvals requiring any stop signs, different speed limits, or anything like that we need to be made aware of it so that the selectmen can take their required actions to get it on the list. So as we go through it, the general section is, the only newer one that we added was 201.1.8, which was a plea by mail that passed at the 2011 town meeting. So we added that to that section. Parking regulations. This is where you see a lot of red lines, because I think we need to clean this up a bit. And Adam participated in this with Chief Brown, too, so he may be available to add things. So the depot, yeah, the depot street, that's been a discussion. We've been having emails today, actually, as late as today on that. I went down and saw that, first of all, the 100-foot one, there's 2 ordinances on Depot Street, and the one that says 100 feet on the south side, when I looked at the minutes, the selectmen's minutes back then, that was in 1982, apparently it was on both sides, and they revoked the north side, but not the south side. And the signs are on utility posts, which they should not be.
Right.
I don't know why those no parking signs are there. It seems obvious you can't park there because it looks like an entryway to, for deliveries. So I'm not sure why it's even needed there. And then we started having discussion on what should the parking, the landscape has changed over on Depot Street since these were passed. You know, you have the new Ace Hardware, and maybe we need to look at what kind of parking restrictions do we want to have on Depot. I know it's a very narrow street,
Okay,
still
so we need to
is.
come up with a plan, and whoever, you know,
I was hoping the board could discuss what they thought should be.
I'd have to go down and take a look at it.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah, it's still narrow. We don't even see anyone parking there unless it's for deliveries.
People is usually, I mean, people usually generally, they're smart enough to know they can't park in front of the driveway, just,
well, I think that a problem could arise if there's a special function in town and they could line up on the street down there, both sides of the street.
That would be an issue, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, if one side's posted, no parking, then they're not gonna,
well, doesn't
Yeah.
that, then we give the chief, Chief Brown that authority
The
to put up
temporary,
signs,
that's
temporary
in here.
signs?
The temporary is in
Well,
here.
put the
yeah.
temps if he needs to, or something like that,
Yeah.
rather than post a road, you know, for temp all the time.
And I don't know where 29 Depot Street was, because it doesn't exist today. It must have been prior to the renumbering that was done. So I guess I could do some more research into the assessing records, see what the closest number is, and see if that one was 29. But that, again, that was a small section.
Was it part of the building complexes that were torn down,
I don't know.
make way for the Ace
No, because the blue house is 21, so it would have,
farther down?
yeah.
Okay, well,
I mean, part of the,
no clue.
sheet metal store.
You know, if we say we're going to rescind these and people show up, maybe that's the way we get a handle on from others. I don't know. I just need to know how you want to post it.
Let's take a look at it. I mean,
Okay.
And then we'll go down, hopefully we can get, guys can take a ride down and take a look at what you think. We can have better knowledge, firsthand knowledge.
This our limousine drives around town all night.
So on Carcor, I added the address because people in the future may not know where Maple's apartments are, but it's 58 Main Street, so. Okay, so next page, I should have numbered these for you, but Goffstown Back Road on both sides, this was passed in 1978, between the Miles residence and the Garfield residence. I was able to figure out that's between 89 Center Street and 81 Goffstown Back Road. Miles residence was right behind Grassmere Town Hall.
Yeah.
Garfield was up at the street, so that's still considered Center Street. And then up the street was the Garfields at 81 Goffstown Back Road, so I'd suggest we put at least street addresses in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't add the address, I'd replace Miles
Yeah.
residence and Garfield residence.
Yeah.
Because neither one of them are there
The
anymore.
red oak tree and the,
Yeah, exactly.
You know where Winnie used to live?
yeah.
And maybe there weren't addresses back then, I don't know, back in 78. I know I was a rural route in 78.
So was
I didn't have a street number. So,
I know, we were R1 on,
We were railroad too.
yeah. So that may be why they referred to the person's house back then. Okay, and then the other one, Goffstown Back Road between the entrance of Medford Farms and the Goffstown Manchester line. It's now the Medville Co-op, and it's 161 Goffstown Back Road. So I'll make that change
That's
with
just
your okay.
housekeeping.
Yep. Henry Bridge Road should be from Center Street, not to the end of the sidewalk, but to Greer Road. Henry Bridge Road on the north side, from the intersection of Mass Road to the Horn residence, which we've determined in 1984 was 40 Henry Bridge Road. So we'll
as
replace
you're coming
that.
down Perry Bridge Road towards Grassmere, the Horn residence is the first
On the
house
right.
on the right.
Yeah, it was a big lot of land. Yeah, you know all these places probably. You grew up here.
Can we get Goffstown Back Road? Goffstown Back Road? Can we go back to that one?
Yes, which one?
We should be adding the Glen Lake, no parking both
Oh,
sides
I've
of the
got
street.
that in its special place.
Oh, it's special.
Yes. Because I referenced the ordinance later on,
Okay, sorry.
okay?
I'm looking at Back Road thinking. what
Yeah.
is that?
Kendall Hadley Row, I don't know which side of the street, whether it's both or one side, but that's why there's a question mark there. And it said in front of the First NH Bank.
It's post office.
It's the U.S. Post Office and the bank complex. So I'm just going to assume that you're okay with these unless I hear otherwise, okay? Main Street, alongside the town common involving a distance of 40 feet from the entrance of Elm Street. That's different now, and it's going to change again in 2017 with the CMAC project.
We need to look at that one closely.
So how do you want me, I have to, when we go forward to a public hearing, I need to have this in place for the people to
Let's do what it
reference.
is currently is now, and we'll have
Current?
to change it
Okay.
later.
All right.
What else can you do?
Got it. Then we go down to Maple Ave. And I know, we're just going to keep this as it is, but the chief is going to review this at Highway Safety and come back with us, because there are issues with the pickup and drop-off of kids at Maple Ave School. So that, we'll leave it as it is, but revisit. I would suggest that when it was done in 2008, it probably should have rescinded the 1971. So I'll do a cross-out on the 1970. Next page, Mountain Base Road South. It just said near the public beach. Adam, I think, went out and said the sign says parking is permitted in designated areas only. Right, Adam? Was that at the public beach it said that?
I think that was the chief, but I think.
Oh, the chief, okay. Runlet Hill, that
Road is discontinued.
was discontinued, yeah. Yeah, it was discontinued in the 1982 town meeting, so we need to rescind that ordinance. Smith Road in 1997, the cul-de-sac at the end of the Smith Road, there was no parking, but that no longer exists. It's been, cut through, so we need to revoke that one. Then we've got the new parking prohibit during snow emergency that we cleaned up previously. We had time-limited parking at the high school. Within a half mile of the high school, we have no parking during school hours from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you go to the next page, the last three kind of also deal with that, because those are all within a half mile of the high school, but then others kept coming in with the same thing, so that's when the board decided just to do the half mile within the high school.
Peter, on the Rundle Hill Road one, I know it says to St. Anselm's Drive. The St. Anselm Drive side is still, we still refer to that as Rundle Hill Road.
Is it posted that way? Is it signed that way?
I don't believe so. I can look
Is
it
it-
up on our database.
You may refer to it, maybe refer to it as,
Okay.
well, it used to be. You know, I don't know if it's.
No, yeah.
Let me just plug in Runlet Hill in this database and see if it comes up.
And the 2-hour parking allowance on Main Street, that needs to be, here again, we
Oh.
got signs on utility poles for that.
Yeah, that's not allowed.
In fact, the one over here, you can hardly see it, it's up so high in the pole.
Unless they got permission from the utility company, but there's a law against posting anything on a utility pole.
Everybody does that, they hang stuff on poles, you know, just yard sale.
So, what we were recommending is really the last three, the Shirley Park Road, Shirley Ave, Stacy Lane, Worthley Hill Road are really incorporated in this one with a half mile from the high school. So why not rescind them, because they're already covered by that one,
Yep.
right?
Right.
Okay.
You don't need all that.
Reserve parking, this is an interesting one. In 1981, the board decided to reserve parking on Church Street in front of Stark Hall from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Well, I researched the minutes and found out that there was a nutrition program at Stark Hall at that time. That must have been the elderly nutrition program that has been meetings at the meeting house since the meeting house has been there.
Yep.
So I think it's safe to rescind that one.
Okay.
I think that's the only reserved parking one we had in town, too. So that whole section would be removed. Then I've got the reference to Glen Lake
Go,
waterfront
Coles.
parking restrictions. Then we have that temporary no parking, so this is new. This is what the board, the chief had asked you to go forward with, so we incorporated it here. Then here's a whole list of all the stop signs. We incorporated the new three-way stop sign that the board said to move forward with as a recommendation on highway safety at East, Dunbarton, and Blackbrook.
So all these
So
roads
that's
are roads that don't have a stop sign, is that correct?
No, they have a stop sign.
Where are the stop signs?
These are the stop, oh, okay.
Yep. Now,
Shall be installed as follows.
so the Goffstown Plaza Mass Road one, we can rescind, because that's now a signal.
Yep.
The nurses' swimming hole on Henry Bridge Road, we didn't have enough history on that, so I'll let the natives tell me what that one was all about. Where was nurses' swimming hole?
Down them behind,
Right
behind
before
Horns.
Right before
Right down
Horns
the
on
road
right-
and back.
On the right-hand side.
As you're going towards Horn's house,
Down off
Yep.
the
road
yeah.
that goes down into the county property, there's a sign there
Yeah.
now.
It's gate
Past
on
that-
too.
No, you can go down
They
there.
took gate off, yeah.
You can go down there. It's, they used to have ball field down there, too.
Really?
People
Yes,
used to
play
park
ball.
on
We
both
play
Is
sides
there
that
still
way.
a stop sign there?
I don't think I've seen a stop sign.
We used to play softball down there.
Yeah, it's a nice spot. yeah.
Oh, okay, and that was called nurses' swimming hole?
Well, what happened was, Moore Junior used to be a teaching hospital. And the nurses used to stay there. And there's a nice swimming hole right down there, and that's why, it's
Where they would go swimming.
that's where they would go swimming. It was called the nurses' hole, because there was a big hole in the ground that they used to.
It was a good place to go.
It was a great place to go. I used to go there.
You go to watch the nurses, that's you doing.
Well,
In the early spring, catch a lot of nice trout.
Okay, so I don't think that's a road, though, right? It's not an
that's a
official
piece of
road.
county property. It's not an
called,
actual.
yeah.
Okay, so you're okay with rescinding
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
All right. Henry Bridge Road at Center Street, north and west, that's
Roundabout.
now the roundabout, so we can rescind that.
Nothing going
Want
on.
to rescind the roundabout?
No, we're gonna,
That
no,
one
we're
works.
gonna rescind the stop sign ordinance.
That one
Been
works.
to Peterborough?
And Joffrey Street, Mass Road, that's now a signal, so we can rescind that stop sign. St. Anselm Drive and Kimball Road. Okay, where is Kimball Road? Because we couldn't find it.
That is as you come across College Road, or College Road and St. A's Drive, the entranceway across, I believe, used to be called Kimball Road.
So it's
Oh.
on the campus? That's why it's private road,
Oh,
okay.
straight, so when you come up,
You got College Road.
straight across.
Straight across.
Do they still call it Kimball?
I don't know.
Next time.
I haven't,
That's the entrance to the college.
no, it's not the main
It's not
entrance.
the main
I know, I
entrance.
understand.
Yeah, it's one of the, it's the one way out, yeah,
So I can get rid of that.
yeah.
Well, I don't know, let's take a look at it.
That's a question mark.
I think it's only one way- I think it's only one way going in, isn't it,
Immediately
Peter?
check that.
Peter, isn't this one way going in?
Yeah, we are not listing any on private land. So if they're stopping on private, yeah.
Well, then that's the one, we don't have to
But
worry
isn't,
about that.
isn't that a one
So-
way going in? It doesn't come, does it come
One
out?
way coming out,
No.
one way
Coming out, just coming out.
Yeah, but they're stopping on private property,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah. It wouldn't be enforceable then. It's private property. So we'll rescind that one.
Mill Road and Henry Bridge Road.
Yeah, that's unknown.
That's Mill Road.
We didn't know where Mill Road was.
What is it?
Mill Road at Henry Bridge.
Where the hell's Mill Road? It's Henry Bridge.
What's the road what's that,
And this is it.
there's two roads off of Henry Bridge.
New
Oh, that
road,
little short dirt road?
One, and there's a lower one.
Neither one of them's Mill, though.
Is that little dirt road?
Mill didn't come up on there. There's no houses on it.
New Road and Gray Road.
No, 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 no.
No,
Going up
no.
the hill.
Going up
Oh, on the
the
right,
hill.
yeah, that's right too. There's a little road goes.
Billy
on the right.
Surratt lives
Yeah.
down there on one
Oh,
of
that's a
them.
different name. Yeah.
And then there's another
The
one,
road zips into your right.
there's another one above that. So I don't know what the name of those, I don't know, I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head.
That's not down towards Leo's place, St. It was it was an old road there once upon a time, is
Neither of
that?
those are named Mill Road.
Yes, there was a road over there
Right.
behind, that's behind St. Owens,
Yeah.
across the street from St.
I wonder
Owens,
if that
that
was-
went down along the river.
I wonder if that was Mill Road once upon a time.
Oh, that might have been Mill
But that's the
Road.
one, that was,
That's
that was,
probably, that's right, that's probably.
remember that
was
road that
one.
went in by Leo's house, or that's where Leo's house is in that place now, there's a road went in there.
So it doesn't exist anymore.
No, that was a
The
dirt road.
road's still there, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
what
a
they
dirt,
use
it's a
for.
dirt road, is all it was,
I know, I
yeah.
used to run a snowmobile up and down there,
It's
so,
not a public road.
no.
No.
So rescind that one, okay.
The next page, I haven't even read on it, wow.
St. Anselm and Kimball, we're going to take out that one. That's it on those.
Straight.
Then we go to the traffic control signals, and we added well, first of all, we changed, Shop and Save is no longer there. It's Hannaford at 605 Mass Road. And then the other one on Mass Road,
Rite Aid Plaza.
the Rite Aid Plaza, Joffrey Street one. The other two, I think we have to take out because those are state traffic signals
Which one's
on Route
that?
114.
Sansom Drive and Route
114, yeah.
Yeah, those are state.
I think those are state, so I think we need to do that because, take those out. We shouldn't have a local ordinance on a state road. The state makes their rules.
What about the,
But we enforce them.
Yeah, but when it's a state
I know,
ordinance,
I'm
they
just-
get the money. When it's a local ordinance, we get it.
what about the two hawk signals? Do we need to include those anywhere here?
Those, again, are state roads
Are those state
at those
signals,
areas.
though?
Yeah,
They
they
did.
paid for them
Oh,
through the
that's
grant.
right, That's right, yeah.
I know, I thought of that too, and the chief said, no, those are state. One-way streets, Parker Street is no longer Parker Street, it's Reed Street. So we want to change that. That's, it's located from Elm to Mill. And then we added Laurier Street North from Pinard to Roosevelt.
It's gonna be a one-way.
It has been, it just wasn't listed, and I couldn't find a signed ordinance on it. Turns prohibited, you have Maple Ave, no right from Maple Ave into the northernmost entrance to the school property during school hours. And Greer Road, entrance from Mass Road prohibited, left turn from Greer to Mass Road prohibited.
You're not using that, right? We had a problem with that.
Plow trucks
Plow
going down.
trucks
plow trucks and trash trucks using it going down the road.
Right, they're not emergency vehicles, so
Right,
then.
you're making sure they don't.
Only plow trucks, one plowing, right? That's how that shook out.
Well, that was a discussion whether a plow truck was an emergency vehicle
No,
or
it's
not.
not.
By RSA, only one plowing, one plow down.
When
Right.
plow, yeah, when the plow's down, right.
Right.
I think is when we allowed it.
Right.
West Union Street, no left turn from West Union onto Main Street. Davignon Street, no left turn from Davignon onto Pinard. And Shirley Park Road, no left turn from Shirley Park Road onto South Mass. That's because of the roundabout?
Because of the roundabout,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't.
You can't, yeah.
So, those have to be added there. Those three.
No.
No?
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Trucking prohibitions. We're just kind of doing the from and to areas. So on Gorham Pond Road, it's from Parker Station to Dunbarton Town Line. Smith Road is from Maple Ave to High Street. Summer Street is from North Mass to High Street. And Bog Road is from Pleasant Street to New Boston Road. Those are just the changes, and there are two others that are.
I have a question for you. You've got from the Boston Town Line to Route 114. Can you legally post that? Because there's no place to turn the truck on. If a guy comes out of New Boston, off that New Boston Road, and comes up the town line, you can't turn around.
It's
How do
not
you-
posted?
Well,
In
it's
New
not posted in New Boston, so how do you enforce the Goffstown side?
Well, we would have to check with New Boston and see if they'd allow us to post in there
I mean,
at the intersection
and-
before,
and
so
I'm-
they could have another
and I'm not so
outlet.
sure there is a,
We're right here, David. going
there
through
is
the
a,
side.
a law, I've never actually found it
Gail?
yet, and I've been told
Yeah,
there's,
did you catch David coming?
there is a law that states if your town road connects to a state highway, you cannot post that road. I don't believe you can actually legally post it. It's, I don't know if the DOT has the law, or somebody has a, if you accept accept highway funds from the federal government, you're not allowed to post that road if you've worked on that road with federal money. Does not to go through trucking. There is a rule someplace now. One day I'll find it, because,
Adam can look at that.
yeah.
Adam, you want to research that for us? Because we have three
Just a
trucking
question.
prohibitions that go into other towns, 3 roads.
Well, New Boston, Wallace Road's posted in Bedford, so. Wallace Road is posted in Bedford, no through trucking.
Correct, but that other road you cross when you get over to the tracking station road, or what's called New Boston Road, that is a state highway, and that connects the dots. So it's hard for them, I don't know how the whole thing comes around, but I know I was told it was there, but I don't know if it's something that's got a coverage on it. But Adam will look it up, I'm sure.
You got your
Something-
to-do list.
Something you had to do, right? You really needed that, thanks, right, I got you.
So is Dunbarton posting Gorham Pond Road also?
I think we should have Adam look at all of these.
They don't. So I don't know how you, as I say, it's hard for us to post from one town to the next if you,
We should have him look at all.
yeah. Because I don't know if it's legally, if you can legally post one into the other, if you can't, unless the other town is posting along with you, and if they're not,
But if some of these were pre-existing to that law,
well, I don't know that, that's,
Some
Yeah.
research will turn that out.
Yeah, research.
exactly.
But I know from Parker Station to Dunbarton, if Dunbarton doesn't post it,
yeah.
somebody coming
they
down
do.
through Dunbarton, cut through there, all of a sudden he's,
Yeah, well, they're not gonna turn around and go back.
yeah.
No through traffic.
Stop sign on Horizon and Aline.
No. Move on.
No through traffic.
And paved range.
Worthley Hill Road above Merrill. School Street at Main. West Union Street at Pleasant, and Park Lane at South Mass. There's no through traffic at those locations.
This is all new stuff, right?
Well, it's existing, but I couldn't find an adopted ordinance on it. And then you have all your speed limits. I did find all the ordinances on, the speed limit on East Union is 20 miles per hour. Cinnamon, all the spices are 25 miles per hour.
Spices.
Well, East Union, we just changed that. We just went through that.
Yep.
Right.
26.
Merrill Road is 25 miles an hour. Daniel Plummer's 30, Tibbetts Hill is 30, and Riverview Park Road is 20. And you have 2 school zones, Maple Ave School Zone from Elm Street, from the public Service station, Public Service New Hampshire substation at 3 Elm, to 3 Elm. And Bartlett Zone is from Mass Road, from the intersection of Roosevelt to Eden.
So goes it.
Anybody got any
Okay.
questions?
So the big questions are on the trucking prohibitions, as I see it. And we wanted to proceed because the chief wanted that temporary no parking in effect before school starts, so he can address any concerns at Maple Ave, and also have time for Highway Safety Committee to meet and discuss adjustments to that.
We have a 6:30 appointment with Parks and Rec.
Yes, we do.
You need a motion on this,
Yeah,
or?
we do need a
Need a motion, yeah, right, don't we?
Yeah.
And a
Proceed.
motion to adopt the codification amendments of vehicle and traffic ordinances as presented and discussed here tonight after further review.
And move forward to the public hearings
Yeah,
on
before the
July.
public hearing, After review by the DPW director relative to through trucking issues.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, passes.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec. We should have Director Rick Wilhelmi reference rec desk software. And
I think you guys
Joining-
have.
Joining him is
Howard?
Howard
Is
Soboloff.
Howard Soboloff, our
Thank
our
you.
chairman for the Parks and Recreation Commission. You guys already have that breakdown of the fee. This is back, I think, in May. No, excuse me,
Need one, too?
April meeting.
I haven't got one, share mine.
A few months back, when we originally came forth to you all. Oh, sorry, Sue. I left you hanging there. Howard's got my copy. So anyhow, what we wanted to kind of come forward and talk a little further about this whole rec desk software program for the department. And the need for this program for us and for what we're doing is quite large. It'll really help us make our system flow better. We'll be able to do more with the software. Press just a couple buttons and you're going to get rosters, you're going to get schedules, as opposed to 5 steps that we follow now to do the same thing. We all know that this is also a means for taking registration online, and that can be done via a credit card. And it also, this system right now, can also be done without a credit card. All right, so you can still take online registration, and you can invoice somebody and they pay you later. And that can all still be done online. I think the biggest thing that we're all facing, everybody around this table here, is this whole unknown about the whole credit card process and how that actually functions, and what does that mean to the town of Goffstown. What we would like to do is go forward, and then the other thing, at our last meeting that we were at, we discussed this, and we were talking about using the revolving fund monies to get it up and running. And I believe at that time, the group was saying, well, maybe we don't start it until 2018. As the commissioners, we see it that this is a definite need for this department. And what we would like to propose, and I think it's pretty transparent, is to say, we'll use the revolving fund monies to get this going so we can start it up for our October basketball registration. 2017, we'll take it on through the revolving fund and keep it going in that fashion. 2018 is when we would say, we would like to build it into the operational budget, the cost into the operational budget. Howard was just suggesting, even at that point in 2018, maybe 2018, we say, half of that fee would come from the revolving fund, and the other half would come from the operating side, and slowly phase it into the operational cost in that manner. So I think ultimately, you guys are aware of the rec desk, right, from the last time we talked, so you kind of know. Tonight, I think it's more of, does that sound acceptable?
Any questions? Paul?
Do you really see a need to phase it in? I mean, why wouldn't we just go to it in 2018? Do you think
Well,
you think the public would find
I
it more
would just tell you,
palatable?
first, as the commission, representing the commissioners, we felt that this was an extremely important program for Parks and Recreation. We thought that it would do many of the things Rick just said, but in addition to that, we also felt it would limit administrative time between Rick and the assistant Stacia, so that they could do more out in the field and really, less paperwork and more the business of Parks and Recreation. So we feel that it's that important. So why did we say phase it in? Because we want to make sure that we get it. So we didn't know if you people would be amenable to us budgeting it for next year, then that would be great. But if not, again, just as kind of a middle ground, because, again, we believe the cost and what you get for the cost is that important.
Alan?
Just a question, so the rec desk, the startup cost is $64,3502. Does that include the first year, recurring year, or?
Yeah, that up top there, Alan, what you see is, on top, on the rec desk software itself is $3,900, all right? And that's an annual fee,
Yeah, no.
all right?
okay.
What we're looking at doing is to actually get some tablets as well to incorporate this into the whole network of what we're trying to do. So that fee of $6,400 includes all those little,
So that's your first year
Ancillaries.
startup cost, so that's what I'm trying to get to. The
Yes,
first year startup cost is 64, and your second year, or
your annual
your annual
cost
costs are gonna be $5,310 every year.
thereafter. Yes,
Pennies one way or the other.
yes.
Okay.
Where are the cost of the tablets and the startup?
Right up
I see the 12-month monthly
here.
charge, it's also reoccurring the next year.
You see you have up in the top section there, see where you got your,
Verizon Eclipse 10-inch?
yes, yep, yep. Yep, the tablets, and then you got your Verizon monthly
Oh, okay.
costs, you gotta pay a fee for.
They're only $99?
That's
If
what-
you get the
Right.
account, it's similar to if you get a phone
Oh,
account.
okay.
We get phone free.
Full free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the tablets
Got
are
it.
$99, but then you have, and the reason we need the phone piece is because they're out in the field where Wi-Fi doesn't work, so they, to make the
Right.
tablets.
David?
And I just want to bring into this evening's conversation, I believe in the last time you met, the town of New Boston has already started using this for their recreational department, is that right?
Yes, they have, yep, yep. It works pretty efficiently, and Mike Sindoni's the recreation director over there, and Stacia and I went and met with Mike and his assistant, and they find it to be very functional, very friendly, and it seems to do exactly and more what they expected. I mean, there's a whole financial component to it that they don't even use, that I would be very excited to use instead of using the Excel sheets that we
And
use now.
The amount of programs you offer are more than what,
No, about similar,
similar?
Yep.
Okay.
similar.
Probably have more participants
Yeah.
maybe, but the number of programs is
Yes,
similar.
yeah, yes.
One question I got, then we'll go to cost. So you're looking to spend the $64,3502 now?
Yes.
Out of your general, out of
Revolving
your
fund.
revolving fund?
Correct.
To get this thing up and started before. Then in 2017,
17.
you're offering to pay for it one more year again,
The 5310.
the 5310. And then 2018, you're looking to maybe start incorporating it into your budget.
Yes.
Correct.
I just want to get it chronological.
Yes.
Hollis?
I mean, I strongly support this. I think this is the way to go. I think we're wasting too much of their valuable time on administrative stuff. This is pretty commonplace
Pay for
in
itself
towns
pretty quick.
throughout the state. It's the way to go. I think I fully support this.
Make a motion.
I don't think we need to phase it in. I'm willing to just get right into the operating budget in 2018, and let's get going forward with it. And I'd be willing to make a motion.
2017, you mean?
No, 18.
18.
They were gonna
Oh, get
take
it in
on
the budget, but let them do this now.
Operating budget
Right.
in 2018, and from
And
there
that
on
gives
out.
Appeals
2
money from
years
the revolving
to,
fund, right?
You guys will own it for the first 2
Yep.
years, this year and next year, and then it'll be in your budget in 18.
The only thing I
We'll
just
try,
want
yes.
to
Go ahead, Sue.
point
I know
out was
Sue had
the
some
the
information.
credit card information, because we were researching this to start this up next year, but they want to start up this year. The good news is that now that we're with Primex, we do have cyber liability insurance. and it's pretty broad coverage through the Lloyd's of London. That's the good news. They would want to review any contracts we enter into with a third-party vendor for credit cards, because they want to make sure it wouldn't negate that insurance.
Yep.
Also, we have to be able to pass PCI, which is payment card industry,
learned
their
that today.
standards, yes. We have to pass their standards. They do a quarterly audit, and there's a cost to the quarterly audit.
Eventually.
I don't know
what
if
the
it's
cost is.
$100 a quarter or whatever, but they do an audit to make sure our system is secure where we're transmitting. I would never recommend doing credit cards without a third-party vendor, because they're the ones that are going to hold the credit card information. They won't be on the town system.
That's fine.
Yeah, and as long as it's third party, I'm comfortable with that, because they're going to be the intermediary here, and they're going to assume most of the responsibility for all of that stuff.
Right.
And as far as going through Primex to make sure, that's fine. Of course, I would expect
Yeah.
that they want to make sure that we're doing things properly, so I'm comfortable for all of the way it's been presented, without the phasing, and go straight to operating budget 2018. And I'd make that motion.
Do we need to make a motion? Do we need to approve what they're doing? What the,
We can't deem what's going to happen to the board and as we put the budget together next year. We can recommend that.
The motion is to accept the proposal that's been presented to us,
Then
and let
use
it
it.
play itself out through the
Yeah.
budgeting process and whatnot.
do we need to do that? Seeing it's the revolving fund, which we.
It's revolving fund money, and they are the agents of the revolving fund. The Parks and Rec commissioners are the agents.
So we don't-
But this was a
I
courtesy
think-
visit
I
to
think-
make sure that.
If I may, I think that's, to me, what it more is to be transparent and say, this is what we're looking to try to do, not, pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. And eventually, yes, it would come out of our operating budget.
My motion is
That was my intent, was to keep it transparent, get it into the record. that
But I don't-
doesn't
it's
work.
not really, yeah, we don't need a motion to allow them to do it. They can do it on their own, but.
I just wanted to ask a question. On the authorized net setup fee and the authorized net monthly charge, is that for the credit card?
That would be, that's a third-party organization, so you pay them a fee, and that's a monthly fee.
Oh, so this one is a $300 per month.
No,
Okay.
it's 25.
Per year,
It's
$25.
$25
Okay.
a month.
Gotcha, okay.
$300 for a year.
All right. And then we'll have the access, the PCI audit fee of $100 a quarter.
Yeah, I learned that one. I found that one out today when I called authorized.net. There's
Additional
another
fees, yeah.
PCI thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to be supported.
But that, to me, that's something I think, Sue, I don't know if Neil or somebody, that's pretty intense, because I started to get into
It
that, and I was asking questions, and it's kind of a little over my head.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if you're having these tablets, what is your policy going to be on whose hand, like someone manually comes in, we were talking today about this, Rick. Someone
Oh,
manually
registration.
hands you a credit card. Who's going to be authorized to take credit cards, because there's a liability with that,
That'll
too.
be down the road, but for right
Right now,
now,
you just want to do the online piece.
we're just registering, and they're not going to use a credit.
We'll have to set up policies when we
Yes.
get into
And as soon as a policy is in place and accepted for credit cards, then we would just roll that right in.
Now, this third-party vendor that you're going to use also deals with Citizens Bank, you said.
The authorized net, yes, they do.
Is that one of the same ones that Tyler Technology uses for Munis?
I don't know, so.
Because there was one that was in common with both, because I'd be looking to do utility payments and property taxes with it.
I want to say yes.
As a beginning.
I think,
Well, that's fine. I think we need to, I think we need to authorize
Yeah.
you to work with Parks and Rec to make
Okay.
sure we get the system up and running. Would that be,
That's the motion.
that's the motion?
I'm a second.
And that was seconded by Alan.
Okay. Did you get that motion, Gil?
That didn't work out for us.
And I think before we ever enter into credit cards in the town clerk's office, we need to have a full discussion with her, because the state passes down some responsibilities to us, because it goes to a single check system instead of the two checks, and then we become bill collector for the state if anything goes wrong.
no, I think it's learning and talking through this whole process. I mean, from our little world, it's a no-brainer. but from the bigger world, it's much different.
Well, I think
totally
we want to get Parks and Rec
Push it right along.
moving on it, and
Yep.
then, we'll incorporate the town as we go along.
Yep.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
There was a
Appreciate it.
Everybody, there was a motion.
Yeah,
but we-
Yeah, there was.
And there was a vote?
Not yet.
We're
All those in favor?
all those in favor?
Aye. Here you go, Rick.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
Good. All righty, where are we at?
What the hell's Adam still doing here?
Yeah, he's waiting on us.
Well, he also has a non-public, that's why he's scheduled.
Okay,
at the
so
end
he's
of the
waiting for last, okay. Then, we did the ordinances committee meeting reports. Highway safety?
We did that last time we were here.
Well, no, we didn't read any of those into the record.
Did we
You
get-
did your planning board,
did we-
one of your planning boards that you attended.
We had,
Because
we
we-
had Chief Brown was here, we did. Oh, maybe we didn't. If we didn't, we got it? 'Cause I don't have
We
it.
decided to wait until the full board was here, so
Yeah,
everybody
that's
could
what we
hear the
did.
report.
Wait, we decided to wait. We took a vote on it.
Yeah, they don't do a summary for
I have
you.
I have nothing for you,
Okay.
except that I know that we, Adam was here, was there, we talked about, one-way street, no, lighting is what we talked about, it was mostly what the meeting was about.
Oh,
A new light
Davignon Street, oh,
on
yeah. and
Davignon
the-
Street.
And we did not schedule them for tonight. We
Yeah.
notified them that we weren't doing that tonight because we wanted to kind of get some kind of procedures to you first,
The-
policy procedures.
The owners were willing to, on that street, were willing to purchase a light and get it installed, but Public Service wouldn't install it for the owners.
They wouldn't let the owners buy the.
Buy the light, we have to buy the light and we
And
have to
then
do
charge the town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was kind of a, anyway, that was the whole gist of the whole meeting, and that was all there was.
Okay.
and I did go take a look at that just while we're on the subject.
Did you?
It's very dark over there at night. It's, all the streets on either side of it have a halfway down light. Davignon Street is.
Okay, library trustees, do we have any, there's a report in there from the library trustees, so everybody's had an opportunity to, if you want to, read it. Any questions? Let's move on to Parks and Rec. Who covered the last Parks and Rec?
I did.
Not every committee sends us summaries, so. If that's what you're looking for.
I haven't seen any of the calls.
Well, the Parks and Rec meeting primarily focused around the issue we just talked about. I mean, that was the big topic of discussion for the night. And so I'm glad to see it come to fruition because they were very much looking forward to it, and I was very supportive of it, so I was glad to see it moving forward. That was the gist of the meeting.
I attended CIP, and we finished up last Thursday night. There's some little tweaks that are being made. I haven't seen
On
the
the
final
spreadsheet?
yet. Yeah, on the spreadsheet. We should see that, I would say, anytime now. And then we'll present to the planning board in September. And then we'll get a chance to go to the budget committee and to us. Sewer commission, call us again?
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but the minutes are in front of you. I think they speak for themselves. The biggest issue was the whole issue of this property swap down on, where?
Lynchville Park.
Chatel.
Lynchville Park, thank you. And so we need to discuss that as a board.
Okay. Is that on our agenda for tonight, sir?
It is not, but you can discuss it now if you want. This is Rem Drive, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought we were looking for the sewer commission to let us know where they needed.
They would need to put their pumper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the pump station or easements. And I think someone had mentioned an idea of a land swap to get the area that they thought would be of more use to them.
But the land that was being proposed didn't achieve that goal.
It did not,
And so it wasn't
because
that
the
much
easement was going to be further down.
Correct. So what was being offered to us wasn't going to accomplish what we were
Right.
looking to do.
Exactly.
So where do we stand now?
So,
We waiting for them, or we did?
I thought maybe the sewer commission was going to come up with a proposal for what they needed, and then we could propose a land swap.
Okay, let's,
I think we ought to have,
yeah, let's call them in, we'll get in.
Have the sewer commission come in?
yeah,
They have to satisfy their technical requirements.
Absolutely.
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they did have a nice, there is a nice map they prepared, or somebody prepared, Sue, that kind of
yes.
is much easier to
Lays
get
it
a
out to
visual
see
of
it.
what it is that's being proposed, or what it is we really need to accomplish.
Actually, Mike Walton gave me that map, yeah.
Put up, Historic District Commission. I'm the one who did that one, right?
Yep.
That's so
I can-
confusing on meetings we go
Oh,
to,
man.
anymore. It's unbelievable. We talked about, they talked about the normal stuff that they're working on, the building.
I know the building is being painted.
They're
the
working
fire
on it as
escape-
we
today, yeah.
The fire escape work's being completed.
Right.
They're moving.
Phil came up with a plan to fix the railing going up to the
By the
stage.
stage there, yeah.
So-
Banister rail.
Yeah, the banister needs to be fixed up there,
Yeah.
and they're hoping to get a final walkthrough with the fire department again. That seems like every time he walks through there, something new comes up. But, yeah, that's pretty much all we covered. Did we talk about the other citizens?
Everything, because
Almost, I think they put out the bids. and
Adam
somebody else
has
for
his-
liability for it.
schedule for
Yeah, we
here.
put somebody else for liability for it, you know? That's somebody else, licensed installers to do it.
Yeah, it could be very cost prohibitive not having somebody else do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as contractors or something, huh?
He could get away with it.
I had to get him a little bit. Conservation Commission?
Yeah, there are a number of issues discussed at the Conservation Commission. The first was the high school project to address their drainage issues over there, including the construction of a large detention basin on Wallace Road and the parking lots. Members of the commission had walked the site, had some discussions with folks from the high school, as well as a presentation made to the commission by the engineers for the high school. When all is said and done, the commission voted in favor to support the project, and that's to send a letter to support the grant funding. They also voted in favor to sign the minimum impact expedited wetlands application, so the project could move forward in a timely manner. Then we talked about the alteration of terrain permit for the sports complex off of the back road near the DPW property.
Barnard Perry?
Yeah, that's right. Megan did a nice job presenting that. There's a little discussion. Really, there's not a whole lot of wetlands there. The major concern was Harry Brook, which is up and over the back because it's a designated prime wetland, but there's no construction proposed for there. All the drainage flows inward to the property and none of it towards Harry Brook. Then there's some discussion about safety because there's some plans to put in detention basins and whatnot, but really weren't Conservation Commission issues. Did have a concern as to whether or not there was going to be a turf management plan developed to make sure that pesticides and herbicides are applied at the proper rates because it is so close to the groundwater there, and we don't want that stuff getting into the groundwater. So after all of that discussion, we voted to recommend, approval and move forward with it. Then we talked about site walk on Kennedy Hill and Addison Road. After that, the Conservation Commission again walked that site with the developer. Developer agreed to make some changes to the stream crossing to allow for, aquatic organism passage and other wildlife passage. The developer was very cooperative and agreed to do that, modified the plan, so we supported that, and that is moving forward. Then we spent a whole bunch of time talking about the grant money for milfoil control and eradication efforts. And I'm not going to go into all of it. It's broken down as to where the money should be divvied up and what should go to Manaski, what should go to Glen Lake, what should go to future efforts to identify, future treatment locations and whatnot. It's all broken down here. I think it speaks for itself, and I don't want to really spend a whole lot of time going through all the numbers here, but they're all there if
So
anybody's.
Namaski's getting the lion's share
That's
because
right.
they're doing a herbicide treatment this
That's right.
year, whereas Glen Lake is not. They're
That's
just
right.
doing the diving.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, Namaski's ready to rock and roll with it, so the lion's share is going there.
They were out there,
Yeah, recently.
I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, they were out there putting in the chemicals or
And then, finally, we did look at a site plan review for the Bill Augustina Fields, the GJB baseball fields. They're supposed to put in a big parking lot between the baseball fields and the rail trail and Mast Road and the steep terrain topography that goes up behind, parallel to Mast Road. Had no real concerns, except for making sure that the drainage was adequate, and of course, that'll be addressed through site plan review. Other than that, had no concerns. That was it.
Planning board. David, that was you, right?
I was unable to meet
Who
that
went to the last
evening.
planning
and
board meeting?
I think Alan may.
I think I did.
No, you did, okay.
That's in here.
It is?
Yep,
Finally, where is it?
keep going. After,
Back beyond everything?
after the HDC one,
Okay.
this planning board meeting of 6:23.
Yep, Alan Brown.
I'll find you eventually. Am I there? No.
Keep going, one more.
One more.
One more, there you go.
No?
Yep, that's it.
It's
planning
there,
board.
here. All right, meeting was approximately 7:10. Minutes are accepted. Board members Barbara Griffin, representative to the, she was voted to, let me see, board members voted to accept Barbara Griffin as the board representative for the SNHPC,
Southern New Hampshire Plan.
And we
That's right.
voted last meeting.
410.
Yeah.
Review hearing on Miller's Landing, which was moved out, motion carried out through. Subdivision of the plan on Kenda Hill, which you just talked about, Collis. Motion to accept some of the waivers, and that was the motion, that was a short meeting, shortest one I've been doing. And that was over.
45 minutes.
Huh?
45 minutes, that's
Wow.
Just a related comment to what was just spoke of. I am also a representative from the town, Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. I'm in the middle of a 3-year term.
Okay, thank you.
Barbara was up for renewal.
right.
Okay, we already talked about CIP. So, new business, anybody have any new business? Old business, the action matrix.
That's right at the end of that section you were in, 7. The only thing we had to update here was the, what was already reported on Grassmere Town Hall, so that's all been reported in the schedule here. The the exterior's been washed and scraped,
This is
and it's
already-
ready,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
already,
ready to paint. And we're meeting on the next one, the HR matrix, we're meeting on that one next Thursday.
7:21.
What time we meeting?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
5. That's it. Everything else is in the works.
Adam?
Any public comment, Peter?
No, it's 7 o'clock, public comment. Oh, yeah, it is 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's public comment.
We're on schedule, look at that.
I'm 5 minutes late. 4 minutes.
Pierce, you got my copy, I'll wing it.
Oh, you want mine?
Should be okay.
You sure? Good.
But then where you can throw it my way like a
Okay.
dart.
I lost mine. Oh, you had mine? Migrated. Migrated, yeah.
All right, good evening. So a couple items on tap for tonight. First one is something that we tabled at the last meeting based on not having a full board. We wanted to discuss since it was a change to some rules. The street excavation rules revision that I've got proposed. As you might remember, the street excavation ordinance is pretty generic by design because that would require a public hearing to revise, but it delegates the authority to propose new rules to the Public Works Director. coordination with the police department, and then forwarding to the board for recommendation. So the board can reauthorize or revise the rules for street excavation. And mainly, what I'm trying to accomplish with the revision of the street excavation is to change the moratorium section. It was last revised in 2013. Prior to that, there had been a 5-year moratorium on a reconstructed road, which means that anybody that wants to cut into that road, or if a utility line has to be replaced, there's certain criteria that have to be met for the repair. Otherwise, we wouldn't allow excavation in a brand-new road. So there was a 5-year moratorium for reconstructed roads and 3 years for something that's just been paved over, no base gravels or ground street. In 2013, it was proposed to change that to a PCI-based in order to kind of align it with what roads are in good conditions and which are not. And that was passed, but I'm not sure that the actual numbers of it all were really reviewed at that point. And fast forward a couple of years, and 2/3 of the town is below this threshold of a PCI of 70. So really, to me, it doesn't make sense to have that much of your, that's not the point of the moratorium, is to keep your best of the best in good shape and prevent cuts, due to lack of planning. And as things get older, of course, nobody can predict 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road. So, it should drop off after a certain period of time. You can only expect so much from utilities and from Mother Nature, of course, with some of the failures that occur. So I'd like to propose going back to a time-based moratorium, but I would like to add one more level, which would be just a 12-month. It was a little vague before with the resurfacing. I'd like it to be a 5-year moratorium for reconstruction, 3-year moratorium for repaving on a structural basis, so that's a nice thick overlay. And then if we just do a shim to kind of help things out, that would just be a 12-month moratorium, because it's not a structural fix, it's just a, Band-Aid. Got some other proposed revisions. I don't know if you just want me to go right down the list, or if you've had a chance to review and have any in particular you want to discuss. There were some, barring going through each one, there were a couple that I thought were relatively important. The item number 3 on the second page of the memo, we added a provision to allow permanent restorations during the winter months. So if we have a winter like we had this past year, where we might be able to work beyond November 1st and still get a permanent repair in, we'd leave that up to the department. If it's been mild weather up until that point, I don't see a calendar date being all that important. Item number 5, we, as discussed, we changed moratorium periods. Item number 6, we added a provision by which DPW needs to give advance notice. So it's kind of hard to hold people's feet to the fire in a moratorium if you're not actually broadcasting what you're going to do in the coming years, and certainly not before you start work. It's, if the first time I know about a project is because the truck shows up at my front door, it's hard to say, well, you knew about this, and you should have fixed it before we got here. So it's tough to know when the proper time to do that is. We kind of settled on each year we'll come to you with our revised 10-year plan, so that it'll be out there 10 years in a provisional basis, but we really don't know until the budget's approved. And as soon as the budget's approved, yes, we'll put out the letters to the folks in the affected areas. You are on a street that's going to have a moratorium after this year, that kind of thing. And then the other one that I think is a big deal, number 8, we want to change for, so cuts that were allowed within the moratorium, mainly for emergency purposes. The restorations used to be, or are currently, a 100-foot wide curb-to-curb repair. So if you just have a tiny little trench across the road or even part of a street, current moratorium rules are curb to curb, 50 feet on either side of that trench is going to get milled down, tapered on the edges, and then repaved. So you're putting down quite a bit of asphalt. Obviously, that was a little bit onerous on purpose to sort of prevent people from just coming in and saying, well, I'll pay for that repair. But for the folks that are getting a waiver and being allowed to cut in the moratorium period because of a failed sewer line or something that they didn't really have any control over, that's a pretty big chunk of change to have to come up with. So we spoke with Continental Paving actually a little bit about what maybe structurally might be a better way to patch anyway. And we've recommended going down to 25 feet on either side, still pretty long curb-to-curb cut, but instead of tapering down and kind of wedging in the asphalt as it meets the new, just doing full depth milling curb-to-curb. So it's a little more milling, a lot less asphalt, so in the end, it's about a 40% reduction in cost for the homeowner, for the utility, or whoever's going to do the work, but we think it's a better patch in the end. So I think the main crux of this is all trying to make it less onerous and hopefully a little bit more, in line with what we're trying to accomplish with the moratorium.
So, Adam, what we're talking about then, we're gonna go, let's just say, for instance, you're down on any street in Manchester, Latch, or whatever, you got an emergency repair and your road has been just redone. You're gonna allow them to cut into the road and repair their sewer or water, whatever it should happen to be that's not working, they need to get online with. And you're gonna go 25 feet either side of it from curb to curb line. You're gonna square cut, gonna V cut, or we're just gonna,
We're talking about a square cut in
Square
in the
cut.
case of the moratorium, yep.
okay, all right.
Anybody else got any questions? Your motion?
Motion to accept the changes presented tonight by Adam Jacobs, DPW Director, on the street excavation rules that we discussed, lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
Other items. Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none?
Who second, Alan? Or
Yes,
Cindy?
yeah.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, the next item on the list is a recommendation for new recycling and solid waste disposal contracts. So, short notice, we're still working on the particulars of the numbers. It does change, kind of, not quite week to week, but it changed pretty often, so right up until the last minute, we're working on getting proposals from them. Just the background is that our recycling contract, single-stream recycling contract, is up in October. We were in the window up until a couple weeks ago for renegotiation if we want to extend, but the terms of our current contract are not that favorable compared to the market today. So we let them know we're not going to extend, but that gives us a few months to nail down something else. So I came back to the board a few weeks ago and asked for permission to renegotiate both solid waste and single stream as our solid waste contract's expiring in April of next year. And I think we probably could get a better rate by tying the two together. So I got permission and went forward and talked to both Casella Waste Management, those are the two big ones in the area, and then reached out to another company, E.L. Harvey, which has picked up a few contracts for recycling from different municipalities where they come in and they bring in a compactor and they haul from your site off. So it's kind of a turnkey solution. Didn't receive any response from them. The contracts that they signed 2 years ago aren't all that great today. They were great in year one, but the second and the third year, the price ratcheted right up. In today's market, wouldn't be a good deal. So I'm not sure if they're feeling the pain from some of those first-year contracts, or if they're just what they do normally is work with an NRRA to negotiate a contract for a town, or NRRA works for them, I should say. So I reached out to NRRA, which is the Northeast Resource Recovery Association, sort of a broker for recycling of all different kinds in New Hampshire, and ran some numbers by them, and they agreed with what I had managed to negotiate as far as contract recommendation. So they said we're in pretty good shape with those rates if we want to go forward. So to cut right to the chase now, I guess we are currently in a single-stream recycling scheme that's based on old newsprint, ONP number 8. That's kind of it's kind of out of vogue now with the recycling folks, and it's actually going away as a commodity itself probably a year, 2 years from now. So all the new contracts are being written based on actual breakdown of the single stream. It's a lot more plastic, a lot more glass, more metals, and not just paper anymore. So everyone is shifting towards what actual percentages of single stream, their facility sees and what they're made up. So the percentages per facility change a little bit, but both in the same general ballpark. The prices that I've got on the memo there, I would recommend going with Casella for both solid waste and single stream. They came in at a continuation of our current contract, which is an old 10-year contract that's expiring in Bethlehem, Maine. If we want to continue to haul there, they'll charge us $52.15 a ton compared to Waste Management's number, which was $60 a ton in Rochester, New Hampshire. Compared to right now, we're paying $50.65, and that scheduled, if we had a continuation of the contract, just goes up 2% in April. Single stream recycling, Casella came in at, right now, basically the way they do the single stream is they give you a processing fee, and that's quote-unquote what it costs them to process this material. So if the market rates for that mix of material is higher than that, you get a revenue, and you split the revenue 50/50. If it's below that, you pay, unfortunately, whatever the difference is between that processing fee, what it costs them, and what the market's willing to bear. So right now, with Casella's processing fee line of $60 a ton, we'd actually be seeing a revenue of $1.27 a ton for recycling, which would be great. We're paying just over $17 right now per ton on our current contract. They were willing to go to a 3-year, 1+1+1, so 2 mutual agreed upon 1-year options. I think with the current single stream market, the way it is, it's sort of bathtubed last year, but it's coming up and it's recovering. Looks like it's going to continue. The last quarter, the last 4 months have all trended upwards, and it seems to be the general feel of the market is that the single stream's coming back. So I think we're pretty safe to not try to lock up. There's no reason to really lock up a long-term contract right now until we see what, it's all based on the processing fee anyway. So if that market continues to go up, we'll continue to see greater revenue. And that's adjusted every month, so if the market changes next month, we could get more revenue. If it changes the wrong way, well, of course, we'll get less. But Billerica was able to get down to a $4.77 charge per ton, so a fair swing there on the current rates. They were willing to do a 5-year term, though, 3-year fixed with a processing fee, and then 2 1-year options after that. As I said, we're currently paying just over 17 for that, so quite a swing. If you compare the two offers from Casella and Waste Management at the current single stream rates, Casella would save us just over $11,000 a year in 2017 for single stream, and solid waste would be about a $31,000 swing in the prices, and that includes tipping and fuel. There's other costs for us internally, of course, for trucking, but they're sunk, so unless we start talking about change-ups there. When you look at holistically and include all the mileage and the hours that it takes to drive, Casella does still save us money on, even though it's a longer haul, by several dozen miles each way, and a little bit longer even in the case of Bethlehem. But even with all mileage and hours and vehicle maintenance and capital replacement, fuel, all that factored in, it's still cheaper to go further and haul north. Once in a while, you're going to have an issue with a big blizzard or something, but we've been able to maintain the last 10 years or 7 of those anyway without real incident. So,
Alan, you had a question?
I'm just curious, did we pursue to ask either one of these fellows if they would pick it up and bring it?
I did. So right at the very end, I just have a bullet there. Right before I get there, I just will mention too the savings that, over 2016 budget. So if we agree to these 2 pieces of the contract with Casella and the rates hold for recycling, our delta between 2016 and 2017 will be about $30,000 in fuel and tipping fees of the savings. So hopefully helpful on the budget end when we start talking about that in a couple months. As far as private hauling goes, I did ask both Casella and Waste Management. The 2 numbers that they came in at, one was willing to use our trailers and another was not, based on the extra liability of hiring a trucker to haul somebody else's trailers. They came in at $7.50 to $11.50 a ton more, and that's kind of a solid single stream and solid waste have different tonnages. It's a lot. You can pack the solid waste a lot denser, so the cost per ton changes based on the number of hauls, of course, that you do. So we'd add about $7.50 to $11.50 a ton for self haul, and that's over all of our included costs. So.
What are we hauling per week average? What are we actually taking out per week?
So we make 2 recycling runs a week, and we are hauling 3 to 4 solid waste runs a week.
Well, I mean, how many tons are we hauling as far as that solid waste? Are we hauling?
So we haul
30 tons or so?
22 about, I think, per load on solid
100 tons a
waste,
week.
and about 17 on the single stream of load.
So about 100.
About 5,000 a year solid waste, and
100 tons a-
2,000 a year in recycling. Yeah.
125 tons, give or take. So
So it's, if you look at our actual budget comparison, it'd be about 50,000 a year more if we wanted to have somebody else haul our single stream, and about 94,000 more.
Right, but I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't, if we're hauling 60,000 tons a year, I'll get my calculator, which I left in the truck. I don't know if we can, I don't know if we can do it for that. I don't think we can actually haul our own stuff for that money. Time you figure what the truck cost, and man cost, and the fuel cost.
That's above.
That includes all that, so that's total cost per ton.
That's above what our current costs are.
So right now, everything, all overhead included, every salary, every social security, every retirement, every penny, cost per ton for recycling, for instance, would be $13.47 for us to haul to Charlestown, Mass. The cheapest to have somebody else haul it is $25.07 per ton to Charlestown. I'm sorry, to Billerica in that case. So that's the $11 more. So all inclusive, it's still cheaper. You know, we don't have the things that they have, which is profit and shareholders to answer to and that kind of thing. So, and none of that takes into account the extras that we get for the time of the driver when he's not hauling. Of course, we have, you know, roll-offs that are being hauled, steel. You know, he's working in the yard with the backhoe, so we do get value add on that end too. But even strictly just the materials, all-inclusive cost, we are saving quite a bit by self-hauling.
All right.
I have a hard time seeing the downside of what's being proposed. It seems-
Yeah, me either.
No, absolutely not.
And the only, you know, I'll play the other side of the fence for a minute. The only downside is that it is a longer haul. So going to Bethlehem versus Rochester, a little bit longer, and going closer to the city in Mass versus Billerica. We did factor all those time differences, the average trip into all this calculation, but, you know, there are going to be days, I suppose, where somebody, you know, has done something really nasty on the interstate down in Mass, and, you know, you'll wait a couple hours, but,
Chances you take.
right.
Okay.
So tonight, I don't have a contract to sign, but I had the proposal. So a couple of different ways we could handle it. If you want to give me permission to sign a contract, I guess, with Casella at those rates. we could do it
Award to
that way.
Casella and authorize him to sign. You could do a motion like that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Ready for it. I'll make a motion to award both contracts for municipal solid waste and single-stream recycling to Casella Waste Systems and authorize the DPW director to consummate the contracts.
Second it for you, Rose.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, and then the third public item I had tonight was our on-call surveying and engineering. So I've got an update on the engineering on-call services, and then a recommendation to award for the on-call surveying. So we put out the RFQ a few weeks ago, and got it back, and the town engineer and I rated the submissions that we received. We had 9, some of the firms submitted only for surveying, and some submitted for both, and some of the engineering disciplines that we asked for, some only were piecemeal, so we kind of had a big puzzle to put together there, but we received 9 total firms that had submitted some form of surveying, either through themselves or through a subcontractor. We, based on the scoring and the history that we had with a couple of the firms, we were able to pretty much bring 2 to the top. So initially, our goal was, we were thinking anyway, maybe line up 3 surveying firms and 3 engineering firms to kind of put in the on-call, on-deck circle. We thought, after reviewing and scoring, we have 2 surveying firms that we'd like to request permission to use as on-call. And not go any further with the interview process. We're familiar with the work and called some references on a second. And we're pretty comfortable recommending Keach Nordstrom Associates. Mike Dahlberg is the head surveyor there, and then Doucette Survey as our 2 that we'd recommend that we use for on-call surveying. The real question with that is whether or not you want to formalize it with a contract or just agree here that we've gone through the RFQ process. It's in the best interest of the town for professional services anyway. Purchasing policy would allow us to just use them. I would note that in any surveying services that are being requested. Term, of course, would be the question there. How long would we want that agreement to go without doing it again? Or would it just be open-ended? And then whether or not you want to give me any kind of threshold where above threshold X, we would, have to discuss it before using them, or we'd go out to bid kind of thing. if we had a massive project, I can't think of anything surveying-wise that we're gonna have that's just gonna be a crazy amount of money, but could happen, I guess.
Purchasing policy is over 10,000 goes out to bid. Typically, what are your surveying?
Gonna be a lot,
Cost.
certainly a lot less, probably,
Okay.
more in the $2,000 to $5,000 range. I guess my question would be, having gone through this and out to bid, do we need a contract to formalize that, to satisfy that purchasing policy requirement, for a certain number of years? We haven't
I guess the
discussed
question
term or
is, do
anything.
they need a contract?
We haven't up until now. It's just my comfort level when we started to have some big projects in the pipe where I didn't want to have to start going out to bid every time.
They gave you an hourly rate?
We haven't, so the RFQ, the QBS process doesn't discuss any cost per
Oh,
hour.
okay, so now you have
Until
to-
Until you select your firms that you want to go with, and then you
So
start
if you had an
negotiations,
agreement,
so-
you'd want to build in an hourly rate for a certain term.
Right,
Sure.
right.
So you asking to negotiate that rate?
So that was kind of the question I wanted to pose to the board, whether or not you want me to negotiate and sign a firm agreement, or if you just want to agree we've gone to the point where we have our 2 surveying firms that we want to use, we've satisfied the purchasing policy by going out to bid, but it's in a qualifications-based format, and we just are open-ended, and that's who we're going to use, or do you want me to
So I'd like that price.
firm it?
Contract.
Yeah, definitely a contract, definitely.
I mean, the majority of the work's going to
Put it
be
on black and white.
below that threshold,
These things go, I'd like to see a contract.
I'm sure there won't be opposed to that either. I mean, if they're getting,
I don't know why they
jury
would.
revenue. So do you want a motion to let Adam go ahead and
Negotiate an hourly rate.
negotiate an hourly rate with these fellows here?
Sure.
Make that motion then?
Second.
Collis. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Seeing none?
Thank you. So the question I would have for you is, do you want me to tie a 3-year, do you want to make it a 3-year on-call agreement? And we'll do this process again in 3 years?
Why not?
Yeah, as long as there's no obligation
Right.
on our part that,
As needed,
It's
as
on-call,
needed,
so it's-
on-call service.
Right.
What-
we have
I
to have a
think the
non-appropriation
Yeah,
clause,
I
yeah.
think the question could be if it's a large project, $20,000 type of project, would we still go out or to bid, or are you're stuck with those 2 guys?
And that as well, yeah.
The other provisions in the contract for termination for failure to,
Yeah.
Certainly we'd have,
Meet deadlines, or, yeah.
Canned version, I'm sure we can make something up.
yeah.
okay.
All right,
So that was
So-
for surveying, right?
So a 3-year
yeah.
Engineering.
And engineering.
give out, okay.
Engineering, he's going to give you an update on engineering now.
Go ahead.
So for engineering, we've selected 5 of the firms that applied for interview. We've scheduled those for the week of the 18th. Myself, the town engineer, and John O'Rourke, since a lot of the work that the on-call would be doing is peer reviews for planning board submissions, that kind of thing. We've invited him, so it'll be the panel of the 3 of us, and I'd like to open that up, of course, for anybody in the room that would like to attend. I can get the schedule to you and work that out if you'd like to have a Board of Selectmen rep.
I'd like to attend if you want to rep.
That's fine, yeah, that'd be fine.
Great.
David will be the backup.
Will this be
Thank you.
during the day or in the evening?
Oh, it is. That's the only thing. I know sometimes it's tough. Let's see. The 19th, middle of the day, and then the 20th, we've got 2 middle of the day as well, 1 and 2 p.m. on those.
Well, call us, let me know if you can.
Oh, and David's gonna be.
David's
Oh,
gonna be-
yeah.
David-
What time on the 19th and 20th?
So it's the 19th from 10 through, better block out till 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then the 20th from 1 until 3.
If you can't make it, contact David. If you can't make it, contact me, just get somebody to make sure somebody's gonna be there.
And you already brought up Weirdly Hill starting tomorrow, so that's everything I had for public session.
Motion on non-public, RSA 91-A:3, 2, A, hiring, D, real estate. Oh,
Yeah, same
real
thing.
estate, okay.
Seconded by Mark?
Yep.
Aye.
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 That'll conclude our public portion of the July 11th Selectmen's Minutes meeting. We'll be going into non-public. Thank you.